Good morning for the work from the West team. Thanks very much for being part again with you guys. Well, why lithium? I'd like to give a brief context about where's lithium fitting in all of this and why it becomes so important. And the main reason why lithium is important is because it is the fundamental element used in all the, as the name comes, lithium batteries that you currently know. So the world is changing, and to a degree that you could say that in the next 5 years, you'll be buying potentially your last combustion engine car, and the transition to electric vehicles is quite strong. So this is why lithium is so important, and the importance then is to find lithium, and not only to get this lithium out of the ground, but to make it a commercial product. That's the key things as what's coming next in my presentation. But bear in mind that in the adaptation of the combustion engine, it was quite significant in the last century, and a lot of horses got retired very quickly. So in the next 5-10 years, we're going to be seeing a massive transition into electrification of the vehicle fleets. And not only that, you'll see more batteries at home, you'll see batteries in sea freight, you might even see planes operating with batteries in the next 10 years. So it's something that to keep an eye on, but it's a massive change from what we've seen, and definitely it's an inflection point. I would like to go to the next 2 slides, please. Some disclaimers. I'm going to Galan Lithium. Now, what makes Galan Lithium different and special to other opportunities in the lithium brine space? We have our flagship project in the salt flat of Hombre Muerto in Argentina, in an area that we have high grade, low impurities. Our neighbors are significantly large. We got the Livent Corporation producing lithium for 20+ years. We got POSCO, which is a mammoth of a company from South Korea. Closer to home, we got Galaxy Resources that is based in Australia, and they're developing their own project in the east of the salt flat. Our thesis was to prove that we have the same high grades and low impurities. We have ticked the box there. We have a significant experience in our team, and Daniel Jimenez, which was SQM Vice President of Commercial, is a key man going forward. I'll explain a bit more in the next few slides. But we have a large resource now that we have enough to think that we can become a producer. And last December, we produced, we came out with a scoping study, PEA, that came with fantastic, compelling economics, $1 billion revenue in $1 billion NPV, one of the lowest operating costs of $3,500 a ton, low capex intensity, and we have a 40+ year project. So in mining terms, this is significantly large, and it's considered a tier 1 type of project. Now we have also green money coming from Luxembourg. Thematic is one of our main backers today. We have also Ganfeng in our register. So we're getting momentum into our backers, and we have around close to $15 million in cash in the bank to execute all the studies that we need to do. Next slide, please. This is our location to where the project is, and this is in the Lithium Triangle in Argentina. You can see our neighbors, Livent, Galaxy, and POSCO. Next slide, please. And about this is a bit explanatory as why Galan is so different to the rest. And if you see on your left axis, you got impurities, magnesium to lithium, and the right axis, you got the lithium grade. And Hombre Muerto West, which is our flagship project, escapes very much from the rest of the companies that are even in the salt flat of Hombre Muerto and all the other projects in Argentina, and with a very low level of impurities. If you move to the next slide, please. This reinforces the previous slide. So we got magnesium to lithium, sulfur to lithium, and the closer you are to zero, the cleaner your product. And we are in the same vicinity, we are in the same neighborhood as POSCO, and Galaxy, and Livent. So we're ticking boxes. We've got a very strong, solid position in terms of our product and where our starting point is. Next slide, please. This is important now in terms of what are we trying to do. We're trying to develop a project in the brine sector, and one of the key things in the brine sector is that our carbon footprint is one of the lowest in the market. And with that said, We're looking also into hard rock as well, and we've got our Green Butchers project. But as a whole, Galan could average down our carbon footprint, and this is something that we are looking more into how to demonstrate. These numbers have been also produced by SQM. This slides by SQM, and then the next slide, please. Now, this is an important part of where we're standing. We have not many shares on issue. We have 240 million pretty much of shares issue. We got a market cap of around 120 million. Compared to our peers, we're still undervalued, so don't get scared by our market cap. The lithium revolution is coming, and we have strong economics to demonstrate that our company could potentially become, double our share price. If you look into, for instance, Thematica spent like around my back calculation, $6-7 million quite aggressively in the last 6 months. And when a company invests that sort of money, it's not because you think that they don't trade in the short term. They're there for the long term. And the last raise we did at 50 cents, and we have a very strong support by a lot of family office, and Galan, as it's growing, it's improving and developing its position. We have also to highlight around $5 million worth of options, all in the money. So plus to the $15 million, we can add another potentially $5 million into our care register. That means that we don't have to raise any money throughout this year. So that's very important compared to where we were last year. Our cash position was a bit low. Next slide, please. So about the board, the main man here is Daniel Jimenez. I mentioned early on, he was with SQM for 28 years and brings a wealth of experience into our company. So he's pretty much a goalkeeper in terms of all the commercial things that we're going to do forward, and explain a bit more what it does mean into our project. Next slide, please. So this is pretty much where we're located in the Hombre Muerto salt flat. And this is just to give a flavor. POSCO is to the north, Livent is to the west, and Galaxy is to the south of POSCO. And to the south of Galaxy, we got our project Candelas that we have not even touched yet. So there's plenty of value to add into Galan once we finalize all the studies that we do in Hombre Muerto West, which is to the left. And that's where the main value attraction is today, but it doesn't mean that we cannot add further value into our company. And I just want to show the metrics from that study. Okay, next slide, please. So what does it mean? We have done this study just to clear people. We've done this with Worley. Worley is a very strong engineering company, so we're not using John Smith for doing this. And the picture to your right, you see all the pond layout and what it will look like, 20,000 tons of installed capacity, which is pretty much what Livent has, which is pretty much what Galaxy is studying and developing. POSCO hasn't said anything about the size, but the metrics are very compelling. And one picture that can take a lot of the pressure in terms of how good Galan is the lower picture on the chart, showing that on orange, Hombre Muerto West is one of the lowest operating cost studies and yet to be a producer in the lithium market. So we are lower than Green Butchers, we are lower than some of the brine producers, and in the next slide you can see as why this is very important against our peers. Please, next slide. So Hombre Muerto West, this is a comparison against ASX listed companies. And we put the first one, by the way, is a Canadian listed company, which is Lithium Americas. But we want to show you the scale of economy of Lithium Americas, helping to have low operating costs. We have not even optimized our project, and we already come under the price of Lithium Americas. Compared to lithium power and lake resources and Argos resources, we come well under where they're at. And pretty much what it all means is that this is our worst case scenario at this stage. We don't depend on technology. We are doing this with ponds. We're trying to look into other alternatives in terms of producing lower operating costs. But if nothing works, we're already in the best position place that we can be in terms of operating costs. And this is a key thing as why Galan down the track can make a big difference. Next slide, please. So the potential improvements is that we can increase our production, we can add more ponds to reduce our OPEX and reduce our CAPEX intensity, and increasing our production is something definitely that we are investigating, and we're trying to increase our recoveries. So there's a lot of data and a lot of things that we're doing that it's very interesting that what we're going to do. And next slide, we'll probably paint a better picture as what we've done. We have sent brine to the lab, and the lab results so far are ticking boxes. We're not far off presenting these results in the next few weeks. And the data we've seen is very encouraging. Next slide. So, and just to give a flavor, we got Greenbushes in Australia, and we're doing some work, desktop study. And next slide will give you an idea as where we are located. We're very close. The pit is to the north in that picture, and we're 3 kilometers south from that. So I can see some outcrops of pegmatites, and there's a lot of stuff that we're going to be doing through 2021. Our main focus remains Argentina, but we quite strongly going to be deploying some of our funds down the track to just do this in a methodological way, step by step. But it's a good place to be, and a good neurology project where we have something that we can afford down the track. So next slide. So what we're doing is at this stage we are technically analyzing our PFS or feasibility study. We are getting our power plants permits, and we want to be studying all through 2021 and part of 2022 our pre-feasibility and feasibility. So we are cash, we got the money, we got the people, we got everything else, and we are 2021 is a very exciting year for us. So that's for me. Thanks, Tim.
JP, thank you. You had a lot to get through, so congratulations for being on time. Now, when we talk about lithium, and we have had some lithium companies on board, they talk about the purity of the lithium. Have you got any data to support where the purity of your lithium is?
Yeah, look, purity is a very, if you don't have purity coming from a power plant operating a site, to me, it doesn't mean much. So can we get purity of battery gas? Great, yes, we can. But I'm not going to disclose any data until we have a power plant operating outside, and that's where the key information is for us. Any lab can produce lithium carbonate battery grade. We did it, and that was our first trial, but you need to look into the commercial side of things. And this is a long run, this is marathon, and we're going to get there. Our purity is going to be competitive, but at the end of the day, I want to get to market as soon as possible with a commercial product, and then this is where Galan is forging its way forward. So we have the flexibility, we have the grade, we have low cost operating costs. We don't necessarily need a huge amount of capex to get to where the other can. So look, 2021 is going to show quite a few surprises throughout the year in terms of what we're doing. So yes, purity is important, but also coming to market first is important as well, and this is where we want to do, reduce our risk.
And for, you're positioned in Argentina. That's an economy with high debt and potentially a poor economy at times. What role does the government play? Like globally in Europe, we're seeing a lot of government bodies supporting the EV battery industry and supporting producers within that. Does that happen in South America? Well,
specifically, we are at the Hombre Muerto salt flat, and you hear my explain who our neighbors are. You got the Livent Corporation, that US listed. You have also Galaxy, and you have POSCO. None of those companies have complained about anything about Argentina itself. And they have also the same obligation of disclosing any important changes in the legislation authority or operation. Also, Recovery is working to the north, and they haven't had any issues. So from the lithium point of view, yes, Argentina is still very forward to more investment in the lithium sector. And Argentina has its own challenges. I'm not denying those, but in the lithium specifically, we don't see any of those. And Argentina wants, to be also part of this lithium revolution. So they understand they need to be flexible, and today they've shown that they can do. And just to remind people, Livent has been operating there for 27 years, and Argentina has been going through a lot through that time. So that gives me confidence that they can easily have another 27 years of operation with no issues.
And partnerships, offtake partners, it's a juggle. Funding. Are there any discussions around partnerships for offtakes and things like that?
Look, there are informal discussions, and this is where Daniel becomes a key man, because he knows pretty much in the industry. After working 27 years in lithium with SQM and being in charge of commercial, yes, he does he's pretty much our goalkeeper. So and in that way, look, I trust a lot in Daniel and the things that he's doing. I can't say much at this stage, but we definitely are keeping an eye, and the market's keeping an eye on us, and Daniel's got the right connections, and everything in due course will unfold.